You don't lack talent, you lack discipline. And that's not an insult. It's the wake up call you've been avoiding. Because deep down, you already know you're capable of more. You felt it in those moments when ideas rush through your mind at 2 a.m. When you imagine the life you could build, the body you could transform, the money you could earn, the respect you could command. The problem isn't that you're not gifted. The problem is that you only work when you feel motivated. And motivation is a liar. It shows up when it's convenient and disappears when it's time to grind. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care if you're tired, bored, heartbroken, or distracted. It shows up anyway. And that's the difference between people who dream and people who dominate. Look at your own life. How many times have you started something with fire in your chest, promising yourself that this time would be different? A new routine, a new goal, a new mindset. For a few days, maybe even a few weeks, you were unstoppable. Then one bad day came, one distraction, one excuse. And suddenly everything stopped. Not because you weren't talented enough, not because you didn't have potential, but because you didn't build the one thing that turns potential into power. Daily, boring, repetitive discipline. The truth is harsh but simple. Talent without discipline is wasted potential. It's like having a powerful engine with no fuel. It looks impressive, but it doesn't move. The world is full of talented people who never made it. Athletes who are naturally gifted but never trained hard enough. Creators with brilliant ideas who never stayed consistent long enough to grow. Students who were smart but never developed the habits to outwork everyone else. Meanwhile, the called average person with ruthless discipline wakes up early, practices when no one is watching, studies when others scroll, works when others complain, and slowly, quietly surpasses them all. Discipline is the ultimate multiplier. It turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results over time. So stop saying, maybe I'm just not talented. Stop blaming your background, your circumstances, your lack of resources. The real question is simple. Can you do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it? Can you stay consistent when results are invisible? Can you push forward when no one is clapping? Because success doesn't belong to the most talented. It belongs to the most disciplined. And the moment you choose discipline over excuses, your entire life begins to change. You don't lack talent, you lack discipline. That sentence might sting a little. It might feel unfair at first, but if you sit with it for a moment, if you allow it to echo inside you without defending yourself, you'll realize it carries something powerful, hope, because talent is something you're either born with or you're not. Discipline is something you build, and if discipline is the missing piece, then your future is still in your hands. Think about your own life. How many times have you told yourself, I'm just not talented enough? Maybe you said it after seeing someone your age succeed on YouTube, in business, in fitness, and academics. Maybe you said it quietly after failing again at something you once started with excitement. But be honest with yourself. When you look back at those moments, was the real problem a lack of ability? Or was it inconsistency? Was it the days you skipped practice? The mornings you chose sleep over work? The distractions you allowed to steal hours from your dreams? Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they stop. Talent feels exciting because it's visible. It's flashy. It's the kid in school who solves math problems faster than everyone else. It's the friend who picks up a guitar and sounds good within a week. It's the athlete who runs faster without even trying. But what you don't see is what happens after the initial spark. Because raw talent without discipline is like a firework, bright for a moment, then gone. Discipline is the steady flame that keeps burning long after the excitement fades. Look at Michael Jordan. Many people call him the most talented basketball player of all time. But what made him legendary wasn't just his natural ability. It was the stories of him arriving at practice before everyone else and leaving after everyone else had gone home. It was the way he turned being cut from his high school varsity team into fuel instead of an excuse. He didn't say, maybe I'm not talented enough. He trained harder. He practiced the same shots thousands of times. He built discipline so strong that even when he failed, he came back sharper. The world sees championships. It doesn't see the thousands of disciplined hours behind them. Or think about Eminem. People say he's naturally gifted with words, but before the fame, before the awards, he was spending nights obsessively writing lyrics, filling notebooks, battling in small clubs, getting booed, refining his craft line by line. Talent gave him potential. Discipline turned that potential into mastery. There were countless rappers with skill. The difference was who kept showing up when it was uncomfortable, when it was humiliating, when it felt pointless. Discipline is not glamorous. It's boring. It's waking up at 5 a.m. when your bed feels warmer than your ambition. It's editing your 10th video when the first 9 barely got views. It's going to the gym on a day when your body feels heavy and your motivation is gone. It's studying when your friends are out enjoying themselves. No one applauds you in those moments. No one even sees you. But those invisible moments are where your future is built. Imagine two people with equal talent. They both start a YouTube channel. The first one uploads passionately for 2 weeks, then misses a few days, then disappears for months because views are low. The second one uploads every week for a year, even when only 10 people are watching. At the end of that year, who do you think has improved more? Who has sharper skills, better storytelling, stronger confidence on camera. It's not about who started more talented, it's about who stayed consistent. Discipline compounds. Just like money invested daily grows over time, small disciplined actions multiply into massive results. There's a reason why average students with strong habits often outperform gifted students. The gifted student relies on last-minute effort because things come easily. The disciplined student reviews daily, practices regularly, asks questions, improves gradually. Over time, the gap closes, then it reverses. The disciplined one pulls ahead, not because they were smarter, but because they built systems that don't depend on mood. You might be waiting to feel inspired before you act. You tell yourself, when I feel motivated, I'll start. But motivation is unstable. It's emotional. It depends on your mood, your sleep, the weather, your circumstances. Discipline is different. Discipline says, I do this because I decided to. Even when you're tired. Even when you're discouraged, even when you doubt yourself. Discipline creates identity. When you act consistently, you start seeing yourself differently. You're no longer someone who tries, you become someone who does. Look at Cristiano Ronaldo. Yes, he is talented, but thousands of players are talented. What separated him was relentless discipline, strict training routines, diet control, extra practice sessions, obsession with improvement. He didn't rely on talent alone. He refined it daily. That's why he stayed at the top for so long. Talent might get you noticed. Discipline keeps you there. The uncomfortable truth is this. Most people quit too early. They start learning a skill and expect visible progress within weeks. When it doesn't happen, they conclude they're not built for it. But mastery takes time, and during that time, progress is invisible. Discipline means trusting the process when results are delayed. It means understanding that repetition rewires your brain. Every time you practice, you are literally reshaping yourself, even when you can't see it yet. If you want to test this idea, choose one area of your life. Just one. Maybe it's fitness. Maybe it's content creation. Maybe it's studying. Commit to showing up every single day for 30 days. Not perfectly, not dramatically, just consistently. Remove the negotiation from your mind. Don't ask yourself, do I feel like it? Ask, did I promise myself I would? That shift alone changes everything. Discipline is self-respect in action. When you keep promises to yourself, you build trust with yourself, and that trust becomes confidence. Real confidence doesn't come from compliments. It comes from evidence. Evidence that you can rely on yourself. Evidence that when things get hard, you don't run. The more disciplined you become, the quieter your self-doubt gets. Because deep down, you know you've earned your progress. You don't lack talent. If you can read, think, imagine, speak, learn, you have enough raw material to succeed in something. The question is whether you are willing to endure the boredom of repetition, whether you can delay comfort for growth, whether you can keep going when no one is cheering, because that's where winners are separated from wishers. There is something empowering about realizing that the problem isn't your ability, it's your habits. Habits can change, routines can be built, environments can be redesigned. You can put your phone in another room while you work. You can set fixed hours for practice. You can reduce distractions. You can track your progress. These are not talent-based actions. They are discipline-based decisions. Picture yourself 1 year from now if you choose discipline starting today. Not intense, unrealistic discipline that burns out in a week, but steady, daily effort. Imagine the version of you who didn't quit, who improved 1% each day, who kept showing up. That version of you is not more talented, it's more committed. And now picture the alternative. 1 year of starting and stopping. 1 year of waiting for the perfect mood. 1 year of excuses disguised as I'm just not gifted. The difference between those two futures is not talent, it's daily choices. You don't need to be extraordinary to begin. You need to be consistent. The world is full of talented people who never discipline themselves. It's also full of disciplined people who outwork their limits. If you build discipline, your talent, whatever level it is, will expand. Skills grow with repetition. Confidence grows with action. Results grow with time. So the next time you feel behind, don't question your potential. Question your consistency. Ask yourself if you've truly given your goal disciplined effort for long enough. If the answer is no, that's good news, because it means the story isn't over. It means you haven't reached your limit. You've only reached your comfort zone, and comfort zones never produce greatness. Discipline does. Good, then let's go deeper. Let's stay with this truth and not escape from it. You don't lack talent, you lack discipline. And if that still feels uncomfortable, that's exactly why we need to keep talking about it. Most people romanticize success. They see the final result and assume there must be something genetically special about the person who achieved it. They say, he's just gifted. She's naturally smart. They were born for this. It's comforting to believe that, because if success is about talent, then your lack of results isn't your responsibility. But if success is about discipline, then suddenly the mirror becomes harder to look into. Take writing as an example. People look at best-selling authors and say they're brilliant storytellers. Look at Stephen King. Many assume he was simply born with extraordinary imagination. What they don't focus on is the fact that he writes every single day. For decades, he treats writing like a job, not a mood. He has spoken openly about setting word count goals and sticking to them whether he feels inspired or not. That is discipline. That is repetition. That is boring, daily commitment. Talent may have given him a starting point. Discipline built the empire. The same is true in science. Look at Thomas Edison. People remember the light bulb. They don't remember the thousands of failed experiments that came before it. When asked about his failures, he didn't say he lacked talent. He said he found thousands of ways that didn't work. That's discipline disguised as persistence. Most people would have stopped after 10 failures. Some after 50. Discipline keeps you experimenting long after your ego is bruised. And this is where most people break, not because they can't do it, but because they can't tolerate the boredom, the slow progress, the invisible growth phase. Discipline requires you to detach from instant gratification. It demands that you fall in love with the process instead of the applause. Think about going to the gym. The first week feels exciting. You imagine the transformation. You take progress pictures. You tell people you've started. But by week 3, soreness replaces excitement. Results are minimal. The scale barely moves. To double be fultus. That's the exact moment discipline is born or dies. The disciplined person shows up anyway, not because they feel amazing, but because they decided who they want to become. This is the part nobody posts about. The early mornings when the alarm rings and you negotiate with yourself. The nights when you'd rather scroll on your phone than practice your craft. The quiet Saturdays when you choose to study instead of going out. These decisions look small, they feel insignificant, but they stack. Every disciplined action is a vote for the person you want to become. And here's something powerful. Discipline builds momentum. The first week is hard. The second week is slightly easier. By the third week, the action starts feeling normal, not exciting, just normal. That's when identity shifts. You're no longer trying to work out. You're someone who works out. You're no longer trying to build a channel. You're a creator. Identity built through discipline is unshakable. Look at Kobe Bryant. Teammates used to tell stories about him arriving at the gym at 4 a.m., practicing before practice, shooting hundreds of extra shots, not for attention, not for social media, because he was obsessed with improvement. There were many talented players in the NBA. What separated him was discipline so extreme that it intimidated others. He didn't rely on being naturally good. He relied on preparation. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You probably know what you need to do. Deep down, you know the habits that would change your life. You know you need to wake up earlier. You know you need to reduce distractions. You know you need to practice consistently. The issue isn't knowledge, it's execution. Discipline is doing what you already know needs to be done. It's simple, but it's not easy. There's a difference. Simple means clear. Easy means comfortable. Discipline is rarely comfortable. It demands sacrifice. It demands saying no to short-term pleasure for long-term pride. But here's the beauty of it. Discipline creates freedom. At first, it feels restrictive. You wake up early, you follow routines, you limit distractions. But over time, those habits give you control over your life. You're no longer controlled by moods. You're no longer controlled by moods. You're no longer controlled by cravings. You're no longer controlled by laziness. You become the one in charge. Imagine waking up every day knowing you can trust yourself, knowing that when you set a goal, you follow through. That confidence changes everything. It affects how you walk, how you speak, how you make decisions. It's not loud confidence, it's quiet certainty. Most people underestimate the compounding effect of discipline. They want dramatic transformation, but real growth is microscopic at first. One page, Written daily becomes a book in a year. One workout a day becomes a transformed body. One video a week becomes a powerful channel. 1 hour of focused study becomes mastery over time. The problem is impatience. We live in a world that rewards viral moments, overnight success stories, quick results. But what you don't see is the decade of disciplined effort behind the overnight moment. Even in business, look at Elon Musk. Regardless of opinions about him, his work ethic is widely discussed. Long hours, relentless focus, constant iteration. Companies don't scale on talent alone. They scale on disciplined execution. And here's something even deeper. Discipline strengthens your mind. Every time you choose effort over comfort, you're training mental resilience. You're teaching yourself that discomfort is not dangerous, that boredom won't kill you, that hard days are survivable. Over time, challenges that once felt overwhelming start feeling manageable. This is how transformation happens. Not in motivation, not in hype, but in quiet repetition. You don't wake up one day disciplined. You become disciplined by making disciplined choices repeatedly. And at first, you'll fail. You'll miss days. You'll slip. That's normal. Discipline isn't perfection. It's returning quickly after you fall. The key is shortening the gap between failure and restart. Miss one workout, show up the next day, skip one study session, open the book tomorrow, post late, stay consistent moving forward. The undisciplined person uses one mistake as proof they can't succeed. The disciplined person treats mistakes as part of the process. You don't lack talent. You lack systems, you lack structure, you lack non-negotiables. Once you create them, everything changes. Set fixed hours for your goal. Remove distractions before they tempt you. Track your actions daily, not results, actions, because results are delayed. Actions are controllable. And here's something powerful to remember. Discipline builds self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your self-image. You start seeing yourself as reliable, strong, capable. That internal shift is more important than any external reward. Think about the version of you 5 years from now, the disciplined version. The one who didn't quit, the one who kept showing up. That version isn't more talented than you are right now. They simply made different daily decisions. So stop questioning whether you're gifted enough. Start questioning whether you're consistent enough, because talent might open the door, but discipline is what keeps you in the room. And the beautiful part, discipline is available to you right now, not next month, not when you feel ready, right now, in the next decision you make, in the next hour, in the next action. You don't need a new personality. You don't need perfect conditions. You need commitment. One disciplined day won't change your life, but thousands of them will, and they all begin the same way, by deciding that comfort is no longer your priority, growth is. Then let's finish this properly. Let's go even deeper, not louder, not more dramatic, but more honest. You don't lack talent. And if you're still doubting that, let's prove it in the simplest way possible. Think about something you once struggled with that is easy for you now. Maybe riding a bike, maybe speaking a language, maybe using technology. At one point, you were bad at it, awkward, slow, frustrated, but you repeated it. You showed up again and again, and eventually, what once felt impossible became automatic. That wasn't talent, that was repetition, that was discipline in disguise. The human brain is designed to adapt. Neuroplasticity is real. When you repeat an action consistently, your brain strengthens the neural pathways associated with that action. Skills become sharper, movements become smoother, thinking becomes faster, but this only happens with repetition. Sporadic effort doesn't rewire you, consistent effort does. This is why discipline is more powerful than talent. Talent is static. Discipline is dynamic. Talent gives you a head start. Discipline guarantees progress. There are countless gifted individuals who were praised early in life. They were told they were special, smart, different, and because things came easily at first, they never developed discipline. They never learned how to struggle. So when real difficulty arrived, when competition increased, when standards rose, they collapsed. Not because they weren't capable, but because they never trained their resilience. On the other hand, there are people who were average at best. No one called them special. No one expected greatness from them. But they built habits. They built structure. They built daily routines that didn't depend on emotion, and year after year they improved quietly, slowly, until one day they were no longer average. Discipline turns average into elite over time. Think about school. The student who studies 1 hour every single day will outperform the student who studies 10 hours once a week. Why? Because consistency beats intensity. Discipline isn't about extreme bursts of effort. It's about sustainable commitment. You might be waiting for a breakthrough moment, a surge of inspiration, a life-changing opportunity. but breakthroughs are built on foundations, and foundations are built daily. Imagine trying to build a house. If you lay bricks only when you feel motivated, that house will never be finished. Some days you'll be excited, other days you won't touch it. Years will pass. The foundation will remain incomplete. But if you commit to laying just a few bricks every single day, no matter how you feel, eventually walls rise, then rooms, then a roof. And one day, you're standing inside something solid. Your future is built the same way. Let's talk about distraction. Because in this generation, discipline is harder than ever. Your phone is designed to steal your focus. Social media is engineered to keep you scrolling. Entertainment is available instantly. Comfort is accessible 24/7. Discipline today isn't just about working hard. It's about protecting your attention. Every time you choose to focus instead of scroll, you strengthen your mental muscle. Kicking F7. Every time you delay checking notifications to complete your task, you're training yourself. And that training compounds. Here's something important. Discipline is a skill, and like any skill, it can be practiced. Start small. Wake up at the same time every day. Make your bed immediately. Finish one task before starting another. These actions seem insignificant, but they create structure. Structure builds momentum. Momentum builds confidence. When you prove to yourself that you can control small habits, you begin to believe you can control bigger ones. Most people try to change their lives overnight. They set extreme goals. Wake up at 4 a.m., run 10 kilometers, work 12 hours. Completely transform their routine in one day. It works for 3 days, maybe 7. Then burnout hits. They collapse. They blame themselves. They say, see, I don't have what it takes, but discipline isn't built through extremes. It's built through sustainability. If you want to become disciplined, make it impossible to fail. Game possible to fail. Reduce the goal. Make it manageable. If you want to read, start with 5 pages a day. If you want to work out, start with 20 minutes. If you want to build a channel, commit to one consistent upload schedule you can maintain. The goal is not to impress anyone. The goal is to become consistent. Over time, consistency creates pride, and pride creates hunger for more growth. There's also something psychological happening when you practice discipline. You begin to detach from outcomes. When you focus on daily action, you stop obsessing over results. You understand that results are a byproduct. That shift reduces anxiety. You're no longer stressed about whether it will work. You're focused on doing the work, and ironically, that's when results start appearing. Think about how many people quit right before improvement. A beginner at the gym sees no change for weeks. They quit. A content creator posts for 3 months without growth. They quit. A student struggles with a subject for 1 semester. They give up. But what if success was just 3 months further? What if progress was 1 layer deeper? Discipline carries you past the point where most people surrender. That's why it feels lonely, because when you stay disciplined, you're often walking alone. Others drop off. Others choose comfort. Others mock your consistency. They say you're obsessed, too serious, too focused. But years later, those same people call you lucky. Luck is often disciplined effort misidentified. And here's the truth you need to hear clearly. You are capable of far more than you've proven so far. Not because you're special, but because humans are adaptable. The limits you feel are often untested boundaries. The reason discipline changes everything is because it expands those boundaries gradually. You lift slightly heavier weights. You speak slightly more confidently. You think slightly more strategically. You improve slightly every day, and slight improvements multiplied by years create. Imagine 2 versions of yourself starting today. One chooses comfort daily, the other chooses discipline daily. In 1 month, the difference is small. In 6 months, it's noticeable. In 3 years, it's dramatic. In 10 years, they are completely different people. The gap wasn't created by talent. It was created by daily decisions. You don't need to reinvent yourself. You need to regulate yourself, manage your time, manage your energy, manage your focus, and understand this deeply. Discipline is self-love in action. It's caring enough about your future to endure discomfort today. It's respecting your potential enough not to waste it. Every time you choose comfort today, it's respecting your potential enough not to waste it. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you reinforce weakness. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you reinforce strength. You are building something invisible every single day, either discipline or regret. And regret is heavy. It whispers at night. It asks, what if you had tried harder? What if you had stayed consistent? What if you didn't quit? Discipline silences those questions before they're born. One day, you will look back at this phase of your life. You will either see excuses or effort. You will either see distractions or dedication. 6. the choices daily, not dramatic, daily. You don't lack talent. You lack structured effort repeated long enough to see results, and that's powerful. Because structured effort is a decision, not a gift. Not genetics, not luck, a decision. Start today, not perfectly, not aggressively, just intentionally. Show up. Even when it's boring, even when it's slow, even when no one notices, because the version of you that you admire, the strong, confident, successful version, is built quietly through discipline no one applauds. And one day, when others look at your life and say, "You're so talented," you'll know the truth. It was never about talent. It was about discipline.